Russell. I've known Russell for a few years. Russell, he, along with his brother and sister, were born here in Beaverton, and he went to school here, of course. And he belonged to different groups when he was a boy, and he also worked around he worked for me for a season. And well, I remember one episode when he was working for me.
Oh.
we were building the house, and I put him one day putting the black stuff on the outside the foundation, and I think maybe he got a little, didn't get it all on the wall. Maybe his mother wasn't too happy when he got home. However, that's in 1992 he started working at the old Value Mart that used to be over by the lumber yard there. And then after he graduated high school, he attended the University of Guelph for a Bachelor of Commerce program with majoring in agriculture business, and graduated in 1999. After he graduated, he met Candace, and they were married in 2002, and he now has 3 children, Oliver, Emerson, and Veronica. And he has continued in the grocery business and manages some stores in Peterborough and Etobicoke and Toronto and North York. And however, he enjoyed living in a small town, so he and his wife started the Fisher's Independent Grocer in 2007 and moved back to Beaverton. And he's been involved with different organizations in the town. He's in the fire department, and I've seen him flapping hamburgers for the lanes. And I'll present to you Russell Fisher, and he's going to talk about his life and farm to food.
Thanks, Ken. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, thank you for having me, and you picked the right guy not to have an audio guy, because my voice tends to carry, so it may hopefully I don't have to carry on too long, because today I'm actually more excited about learning stuff from our discussion. I think I'm going to learn the most today. Most of you know grocery stores. Most of you know grocery stores just as well as I do. I think you've shopped for how many years, and but I'm humbled to be here. Many of you are my customers. I've seen you in the store every other day, every day. And for those of you not customers of me, we'll let it slide today. It's a quiet group, a great setting. What I'd like to be today is just a bit of open dialogue, questions, no particular structure. I didn't bring any audio visual or anything like that. It's just going to be me blabbing up here about basically a little bit more about me and how I became into the grocery business, a little bit about the grocery business in Beaverton. Not so much a history, because I think you folks could tell me more about that than I could. I remember my produce gentleman, Bob Aldrich. Most of you would know Bob, red hair, and he showed me a picture the other day of his father's shop. And does anybody know where that was? Yeah. Where was it, El? Fish and chip store? Yeah, right across from the fish and chip store. And I couldn't believe it. It was just a great picture. And Kathy, his wife, earlier in the summer brought in a bunch of ads. I actually tried to contact her, but she didn't get back to me. She's retired now, so maybe she didn't want to talk to me anymore. But she brought a bunch of old ads in. So nevertheless, just like I say, just pop your hand up if you want, or just yell out a question if I'm talking about a particular topic. I think we'll both learn a little bit more that way. So myself, as Ken mentioned so eloquently, I have a wife and 3 children now. We live in Beaverton. I grew up in Beaverton on Main Street, right across from the Pentecostal church there till I was 18, and then my parents decided that they wanted to do other things and started a little farm, and that was my cue to go to university. So I went to the University of Guelph, and did my thing there, and then I became a grocer. But a little bit before that, I had my grandparents. Most of you know my grandparents. Actually, my great grandparents, Vernon and Violet. They had a dairy farm on Laurenville Road and Simcoe Road. It used to be the Sproxtons, so many of you would know that. So that was their place. And then my grandparents, Jean and Irvin, had a place on the second concession. So they had just at the second and Simcoe, just west of it. So they raised 5 children there. Actually, they sold their farm just before my parents decided to have me, and so I didn't get an opportunity to be raised on a dairy farm or anything like that. But it was the precipice to my love of agriculture, because my dad, I'm leading on to my parents, you see where I'm going here. My parents, Bev and Lloyd, we grew up in Beaverton, and my dad worked for an AI company, artificial insemination company. Used to be United Breeders, so he would go around to all the different farms. We visited Ken's farm quite a bit, and farms in the area, and artificially inseminate cattle. So that was my precipice to the love of agriculture. My mother's family also had a cash crop operation in Rockwood down near Fergus. So we went from one kind of type of agriculture rate to another. So I loved heading down there and jumping up into the hay mow and mowing hay I couldn't wait to get there, riding along. They had all the cool machinery. So it left no room for doubt that my first job was going to be on a farm, and it was with Ken and Helen, and Helen's, your mom, what's your mother's name again? Janet, yes. So some of the best lunches, I thought I had died and gone to heaven, I will tell you. After a long morning of work, those guys chasing me around, Kevin and Ken, and making sure I didn't hurt myself. We went in for a lunch, and it was it was something you'd have for supper at my house. It was a lunch, but it was fantastic, and I fondly remember them. We all get washed up, and we'd have a lunch, and do we not have to go back to work? It was like a full hour. It was great. So we went back to work, and I spent a wonderful summer at Ken's place, and then Ken retired, sold the farm, and then I needed a job, my dad told me, so he got out of the house. So what happened there was my mom worked at the Wizard's Workshop. A lot of you might remember the Wizard's Workshop in Beaverton when technology started to really become a thing, I guess. Technology's always been a thing, but she worked at the Wizard's Workshop, and the grocery store, the Value Mart, opened in 1988, and this was 1990, I guess, and they needed some stock boys, so my mom got me a job. She said, "You're going to work in the grocery store." I said, "Mom, I don't want to work in a grocery store." I was a teenager at this point. I don't want to work in a grocery store. I'm a farming guy. I want to be in the tractors. I want to figure out something else. And I remember a little squabble that day. I really do. And so, needless to say, I took the job, and I started with Paul and Beth Babcock. They had the grocery store in 1988 to 1996, and I really enjoyed it. I started my first day. I worked the dairy load, and with a couple of kids that I knew from high school, and that's one of the things that is a highlight for me today is the young kids coming into the store, and we've been at the store, I digress a little bit here, but we've been at the store for 16 years now, and we hired kids in 2007 that are having babies and having families and everything now, and it's just a real, forget all the sales and the business and all the other stuff. That's a real win, because those are the things you're going to remember. But so again, I started at the Value Mart in 91 by that chance conversation, and then I really still had agriculture in my bones. It was I went to university with my sights on animal science, and but I really fell in love with the grocery business. It was taken over in '96 by Steve Donnelly, Steve Donnelly took that over, and I worked a lot of hours, and I really, really loved it. So, you know, I don't know when something, you probably have felt it, when something kind of gets in your bones and you can't really get it out, whether it's whatever you folks did for a living or do for a living, it kind of gets in your bones. And really, the type of person I am, it was really based on everybody's always going to eat, so there'll always be a job, and I never really will have to worry about it. So that was kind of my, and my marks weren't too good when I went into science down at the University of Guelph. So I switched over to business, and the rest is history. So that's kind of where we went. I got a degree in university, and then I decided to stay in the grocery business. Worked a little bit at a store in the head office, then a little store in Bobcaygeon, and then I moved to Peterborough to work corporately for Loblaws, and that taught me a lot. I think that getting into the big city and seeing how people do things a little differently down there, a different lifestyle, a different demographic, has really helped me kind of hone my management skills in the grocery business, in business in general, because no matter what people will tell you, business and operations are 99% people, right? And talking to people, how you handle people, and how you are empathetic to people, and that's boded well for us over the years. So, as I said, the evolution of the current store. So how the current store came to be. So Loblaws, as with technology and the changing demographics in the world, Loblaws decided to close the Value Mart here in Beaverton in 2006. Just citing business progress, right? I mean, we all have we can all say that's. We all have our thoughts on progress, right? And Beaverton certainly is changing, but so is every other town around the province and around the country that Loblaws operates in. So it was made the decision to shut that store down and move it out to a larger store on the highway. And one of the statistics that told me this was going to be a great idea was the fact that they've done a lot of studies, and folks drive to our store on average more than any other store in the province. So to put that into context, it's on average about 9.8 to 9.9 kilometers. So you think you go to a grocery store, you have to drive 4, right? And we're out in an area where it's a bridge. We're a bridge to the Kawartha Lakes, we're a bridge to Muskoka, the Halliburton Highlands, and Loblaw saw that as an opportunity and did a lot of work with that site. Funny little story. My grandfather, I was hanging out with Irvin one day, Russ Fisher, my dad's father, and he witched wells. Right? Everybody knows kind of what that is, and I didn't at the time, but so he took me one day, and he had to witch a well for Uncle Creel, who used to own the A1. My dad's brother Creel, he used to own the A1 truck stop there, and he had to do some witching. And this was the time when I was living at their place, working in town in Beaverton. And he knew, Grandpa always knew I would go into the grocery business because I've just had a knack for it. They know things that we never will, right? But different feelings. But he says, if you're ever going to open a grocery store, do it right here. There's a ton of water. There's more water there than you can ever use. And we have one of the greatest wells that you could ever imagine, knock on wood, of course. But just a little side story. And then Grandpa always had a few side stories because I know a guy over here and he was in the grocery business and he ended up buying his store. So you'll end up buying this store. So the prophetics of my grandfather were quite still evident today. So it's on the site of the old motel, and the police station was out there. Uncle Creel's A1 shop, like I said. And then we opened in 2007. I left my job in the city. I looked at different stores, but the company and I kind of came together. The stars aligned, and they said, "Well, Russ, we're building this store in Beaverton. What about that?" And it was really a no-brainer. It was a big task. Not so much managing people or the size of the store, but just how folks in Beaverton would handle such a large store, right? And to truth be told, myself, I kind of said, "Is this thing gonna work?" You know, I mean, Beaverton was such a small town, and there's really no transit like there was, and still it's better, but it's still not great, right? So we jumped on Loblaw's backs because that's what we were able to do and become a partnership, and we opened that store. And I'm not too sure if most of you remember the first day. Is it you, Paula? Yeah, you, Paula.
Yes.
Yeah, that's still a day that lives in lore in the back of my brain when we got a call that the power had went out overnight, opening night. So we had to, and it's funny, I just got a call at 1:30. I was ironing my shirt, and I got a text message that said, power's out. And I go, isn't that something? So I raced along in my minivan. I did stop at this stop sign, which I know you probably see people blow by. And then I went out, but it had come back on. So the first day of the store on May 16th, 2007. And I didn't know if this was a sign of things to come, but or just a message from up above that, you're going to get tested the first day. The power went out. We lost $97,000 worth of product. We had to order dumpsters. And, I remember my dad coming over. I had my whole family there, and they were just, carts and buggies into the garbage, and it was horrific. And I was like, what is happening here? Corporate life would have been pretty good. So right now, but nevertheless, we persevered, and we had the store open the next day. We've had a couple bumps in the road since then, but it was, I don't know, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to what the village or what the customers of Beaverton thought about the big store. I just wanted the customers that came into our store to know and experience what they were going to experience for the next, a lot of number of years. So it is a big store. So a little bit of facts. It's 51,000 square feet. I did manage stores in the city that were 150,000 square feet with 400 employees. We started with about 122 employees out there. But we managed to have a job fair and get everybody into positions, and it was learning from brand new. There's 11 different departments in the store, and still to this day we're learning and changing. And we're up to about 150 employees now. 150 employees. So I think we're the largest private employer in the township. The manor might have a few more employees altogether, but I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty proud of that. We pay out close to $3 million in salaries every year for our employees. We have, and this is one thing in our town right now. Our town is changing, right? I'll touch on that a bit later. Our town is changing. It's when I talk about competition a bit later, but we have no trouble. I'm going to knock on a couple of woods right now, but we have no trouble finding staff for our store. We are becoming a more diverse staff these days, but we also don't have any trouble finding them. Applications go out, maybe that's our small town feel, but we continue to hire employees. Employees leave for different reasons. We have employees there that, like Bob, who's been there for 45 years and still going strong. So yeah, so where are we here? There's been a few things happen that, is there any questions? Any questions off of what I've said so far? Or how I've kind of gone back and forth?
Do you have a generator?
Do we have a generator? Wonderful question. No, I don't. So, and that would beg the question as to why. When it comes to generators, I demanded this is a partnership between Loblaws, right? I demanded we get, because Loblaws owns the property. I own all the business, the inventory, not the people, but I pay the people, they're mine, under my business. So I said, we have to get a generator into this place. And they did load tests and all that stuff, and it just, I guess once wasn't enough for them. It was enough for my heart. Twice now, 2016 on Good Friday, 2016, we lost power as well. That ice storm that went through. I was just about to take my family on a holiday, so it was we were all set up. It was our first one, and everything was rolling. And yeah, I went out, and there was about 2 inches of ice. But I said, is twice enough for you? But still not. They put them in the big stores, the big 150,000 square foot stores in the city, but not enough to. But I do think, and this is just a a guess on my part, a best estimate, that we will see generators in these stores soon, just with the different weather events we're having now with the climate. We had like just before today, for no reason, the power goes out. So anyways, no, I don't. I wish I did. They put generators in just to run refrigeration, and that's fine too. But if I even had that, it would have been great.
Russell, with you're going from a small store to a bigger store, what are your thoughts on the little corner stores? Are they going to be history, or do you think there's still a place for senior citizen? What do they call it? The medical people call it a silver tsunami that's coming.
A silver tsunami. So I think if you have a business that takes care of your customer, that adapts to your customer. So we're not senior citizen friendly out there. Okay, we're not. I mean, if you're a senior citizen, you can come to our store and shop comfortably, and we're just starting the walking club up again here in the next little while. So that's not what I'm kind of meaning. I'm meaning that, you know, if you don't drive, you got to get a son or a friend to pick you up and take you out. It's not the right place. But I think if you take care of your customers and you invest in your product line and your service, you can be successful. Okay. Corner shops, they will survive. There is a niche for corner shops because it's a tsunami. So, and that's a great word if you're equaling that to customers, because customers, a tsunami means a lot of customers. So if you can adapt, some stores don't. Okay, Beaverton's in a very precarious place right now because we are not only aging as a population in Beaverton, like a lot of other towns, we are becoming more diverse. You can see it in my staff. Who I'm hiring, who I'm interviewing, and I think it's great. I mean, I really do. I was a bit old school. I'm not gonna lie. I was a bit old school, and I'm like, I'm not sure I'm ready for this in Beaverton during COVID, right? Are we ready to change? And my business is ready to change. We added an international aisle, and some of the folks who moved up from Toronto are just some of the nicest people and the hardest working people that I've ever met. So that's the problem, is it's not so much difficult getting individuals to come and apply, it's getting them to stay and getting them to have that work ethic that Ken Alsop taught me and Kevin Drake taught me that summer when I was at the bottom of foundation at 12 years old. Well, I was older. But yes, you can survive as a mom and pop shop. In fact, I think you can thrive if you're competitively priced, if you're you offer the products that your customers want. Maybe it's a delivery service, maybe it's a phone service or something like that. Yeah, you have to be very nimble in retail business these days because it moves fast. And I don't think I could do what I do without Loblaws. You know, Loblaw is a big corporate giant. We know that, right? We know Sobeys is and Metro is, and they're making all kinds of money. Yeah, we may talk about that later, fine. But they are nimble. They are very fleet of foot. The President's Choice Optimum program, the points, that's like something when I opened the store I never would have thought of. And now I'm earning hundreds of dollars a month on points for free groceries. So it's a concept of value, that if you can find that right concept of value and who your customer is, you will be successful. Hi. Yeah.
You did some really unique things during COVID, and it's a blessing to have you there and available. What are your biggest learnings from that time?
Get lots of sleep. How to manage anxiety. Oh, you mean for the business?
Yeah.
Christina? That was probably, listen, in all of our lifetimes, well, I didn't say that. I think there's some folks that are part of this historical society that have, and my grandparents have lived through a lot worse. So it was a real, as a leader in the business community, as a leader in my store, it was really a lesson learned in being humble, in managing anxiety. It was one of the worst times of my life personally. I look back on it and I go, I don't know why, but it was at that time. And we had a great communication team from Loblaws. It made me proud to be a part of that organization, to own a business with them, and it made me more proud of my team. Yeah, it was a very emotional time, and we were fleet of foot. And we had 146 people at that time that were working, and you didn't know if one was sick. And but we learned that at the end of the day, everything's going to be okay. And we talked about this as a team in the store, and we talked about when we had our first cases at the store, it was a lesson for me in patience. There were some people that put stories out and decided to put it on social media that we had a couple of cases, and it had happened in other stores, and it had happened in homes and restaurants and everywhere. But I took it personally, and I've learned that nothing is going to get that bad again, or can be that bad, and I have to project that into my business. You know, whether it's somebody come in and they're sick, I think they have COVID. That's okay. Are they okay? That's okay. We'll get through it. You know, I learned that toilet paper is very important. You know what I mean? Folks, I could sit here for another hour and tell you stories about how far I can throw a roll of toilet paper over a cart to get into a customer, to hand into their basket. There was a day when our loads, you can imagine the enterprise of Loblaws, and it's at 1,100 stores, okay? And trying to get loads on time with, at the same time having their 800 employees all on edge. It was really a magnificent, magical time of hurt, you know, at the same time. Mixed emotions, but the shelves were wiped. Like, I didn't have one case in my back room. I'm known for having one of the cleanest back rooms in Loblaw companies. You know, if you ever want to come and tour the store, say, what's this back room? I'll take you right through. I'm so proud of it because everything on that sales floor comes through that big door at the back, right? You have to be lean, you have to be sharp. And there was nothing back there. There was nothing. Every kind of salsa, every kind of soy sauce, every kind of ethnic marinade was gone. It was like it was, and the toilet paper aisle. When's it coming? We had to block the aisles off so we could put the stock up. You know, we didn't know masks were a big thing then, and you'd go home and you could go out anywhere to release, you know, that frustration. And this was in all business, and that's what thing got me through it too. You know, Canadian Tires, Walmart's, you know, the shop uptown, you know, the funeral home, the newspaper office, the whatever it may be, the restaurant in the corner was all going through it, just at a different scale, right? So we learned that it's never as bad as it seems, that we all are just people. And having to kick people out of the store, which was a hard thing to do because they were in Florida, you know, and this person's yelling over here. They were in Florida last week. They shouldn't be here. Ma'am, should you be here? No, I shouldn't. Okay, you have to go. Okay. These are the good ones. And then you get people that are just mean. There's some meanies. And we shake our heads at it, and there's crying cashiers, crying clerks. Why did they have to yell at me? And it was a hard time, a very mixed emotion, but it builds character. We were meant to go through it for a reason, and it was certainly a crazy time. Yes.
You mentioned about you're one of the stores most people go to.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No, it's not just locally. Like, I go and something, I have to wait till another day. But literally, it's not just the cottagers coming up here. There's people that do come from miles here and even looking for work because work is needed. I live here. I drive to Newmarket every day. I work with a guy. His wife's not well. They have a small cottage up at Centennial Park. And she loves to go into the Independent. Because there's such a variety. I said, you're kidding, you're from Toronto. He says, I'm not kidding. Locally, I go home from work, shower, we head up here in the morning, we get all our stuff, and she will come with her walker in the store. She's in the hospital right now. But he says, you don't realize, and I didn't, but for her, she can get whatever she wants pretty much here.
Yep.
She originally grew up here north of Beaverton.
Yeah.
But he said that to me. And he said, I make a point, even though she's not well, she wants to go to the cottage, she wants to be there.
Yep.
And he said, I said, I know, it's crazy, because we go in locally and we have to wait to come the next day to get what we want. But he said, it is phenomenal. It's not just cottagers. I think it's people just do, even if they're not. They just want to come here and get it here. They don't want to deal with Toronto. And they don't. And I said, you're kidding. You can't go to the grocery store, pick up a few things, and then pick up more. He says, no. And I said, she will kill me because it's not worth the time.
It's not where she goes. Well, the loyalty like that's much appreciated. Much appreciated. Oh, in our store, we have so many loyal customers. So many loyal customers, and we're not doing anything spectacular in a store. We're running a grocery store. That's what I tell them in my huddles and my meetings all the time. We're running a grocery store. Get the right product, the right place, the right time, and customers will notice, right? We are what they call a conventional supermarket. Okay, we're a conventional 50,000 square foot supermarket. So what that in industry lingo means is that we have the 37,000 different things in the store you can buy. We have a salad bar team in the back that's going to make Christmas hors d'oeuvres, frozen poppers, frozen jalapeno poppers. That was a little teaser. They're coming out next couple. So, yeah, fresh jalapeno poppers, fresh salads, and there's other segments of the industry that's discount. So that's your no frills, it's your Walmarts, that's your real Canadian superstores. So, you know, we are some say the town. I get comments, right? I mean, we have 150 employees, 50,000 square feet. We have some say we don't have enough competition, and I just argue. I don't argue with Facebook people, but I do. If I have the discussion with folks, I say I disagree, and I say with the mobility of the population these days, we have more than most. Okay, we have more competition than most. You can drive 30 minutes either way from this village and get anything you need. So there's choices, right? If you're in Lindsay, typically you'll stay in Lindsay. You might go to Food Basics. You might go to Mark Reed's, a good friend of mine in Value Mart. You might go to Loblaws, and you might go to Canadian Tire. Who knows? Maybe they have chips on sale. Who knows? In a very short distance. Beaverton, you can't. You can come to the Independent, but then if you really want that flyer shopping type atmosphere, you have to go to Lindsay, or you have to go to Aurelia, and you have to. A lot of people work out of town, but I would argue that we have more competition, and that keeps us on our toes, and we keep that in our minds every day. As I say, our staff's becoming a microcosm of our change in society, right? It doesn't, not anything that I'm doing in particular in our business these days, but I think because it just happens naturally. It happens very naturally that the staff just changes our demographic. We have we have a young lady now that took the Durham Transit to Uxbridge to work at Zayres, and she came in and saw me. She goes, "Do you have anything?" Well, I don't, but I do now because you're trained, and I can see how dedicated you are. And then that was on. And then I went and did a delivery. I came back and I saw the young lady walking down the highway. So something that's in the works right now for me is trying to understand how I get my staff if they're taking. Well, thanks so much. Thank you. How I get my staff, because there's something I can do, to get my staff to work, and there'll be a little shuttle. So we're working on that right now. We just started with delivery. Okay, so delivery, we're changing a little bit. It's through Instacart. It's not the traditional way of doing things, but how many people use PC Express in here? I'm going to take a shot. Maybe it's 0. Maybe it's 1. Use PC Express? Yeah. So those are just examples. And good experience? Good. Yeah. Just those are examples of how we are changing with our business. Okay.
You call yourself independent. How independent are all these independents?
How independent are they? So, like I said, I think I mentioned it earlier, but this relates to your question. We, as independent owners, and we call it independent owners. That's the slogan. That's our banner name. Okay, I have an independent company that owns the inventory, all of the equipment, the name, and we pay the staff, right? We have agreements with Loblaws, franchise agreements, much like the Tim Hortons folks or the McDonald's folks, but we are independent in such that if there's a local product we want to bring in, we can bring it in. We carry about 6 or 7 main local lines all the time. But we are bound by agreements from Loblaws. And you want to know, so I'm just going to get this off the table right now, because you don't want to know who controls the prices? Loblaws. So just as long as everybody knows that. Loblaws takes care of all the prices. If I'm changing a price, it's usually down. So it's a very volatile market right now, but they control pricing.
What about product mix?
Yeah, product mix is Loblaws. One interesting note, when you walk into a store and you walk down an aisle and you see a section of let's go with canned beans. Okay, there's a section, they're all marked out in 4-foot sections, so canned beans is 8 feet. Okay, that product mix is led by Loblaws, right? Each of those categories in our store, each of those SKUs, so each of those items in our store is calculated, how deep, how high, how wide, and there's a number put on it. And that number, when you buy 5 and you go out the till, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beeps at the cashier, that orders 5 more. So it's called a perpetual inventory system. And so it's called a perpetual inventory system. And we have, like I said, think about 37,000 SKUs on that right now. And that's all done through Loblaws. They run those, they're called a planogram too. So it's a planogram. So we get a picture. Every week we might get 10 or 12 different sections that have to be changed. The zoodles might have to go from 4 wide to 5 wide. You know, whatever you may.
So the presentation on your shelves, they decide.
Yep, they decide. We execute it. I always say to people, you know, when they talk to me about a price or a complaint or something like that, and that's part of the business, that's fine. I know Heather there was asking me a question there earlier. Are you going to be okay to tell, you know, I don't want it to get too out of hand on prices. I said, I got thick skin. I could take anything. There's nothing I can't take. So they do that because you want to know why? I want to know why people, I get some retailers of mine. I have quite a network of grocery store owner friends, and they all get worked up and they all get, I think, this is not our job. We're here to execute. That's my job. I run the store. I keep the staff happy. I make sure the aisles are faced in the morning. I make sure the product's the freshest. But they put whatever price they want on it because they're, let's say this, they're smarter than me when it comes to that. They have more resources. They have more knowledge. You can trust that those prices on our shelves, even though you may not like them, they are competitive. We are indexed against, remember I said about the conventional and the discount, okay? So you'll go to No Frills and buy the same basket. And this is on average, and you folks are all very intelligent folks and will get what I'm saying. It's on average. You spend $100, or I want to say this, $100 at No Frills, yeah, that's right. You'll spend $112 to $115 at my store, okay? So that's where, and that's a Walmart versus a superstore. So that's how we're indexed. We're about 12 to 15%. That's the gap they like to keep. It's been a little tougher to keep that. In the last year with inflation. Inflation has been very tough on the grocery business, not only societally, but you know, sales-wise too. There's been a lot of migration. A lot more individuals say, even in this market, in my trading area, say it's worth it for me now to go to No Frills, right? So that pushes their demand up, which pushes their prices up, and it's a little bit of economics, I guess, that gets into there too. But our prices, I've been happy how we've handled it. We show, remember your question there about can these small convenience stores survive? And there's a triangle, and what customers are looking for these days, and it's no different throughout history, people are looking for value. They will pay for something with high quality, okay, that has great service, and there's what we got shown the other day. There's a triangle. So in the middle is value, okay, and there's price, there's quality, and there's customer service over here. So how you manage that triangle? I trust Loblaws to do it. I trust them to do it because you know it's very. We would be damaging ourselves if we didn't. And we are built to handle not a recession, but a tougher economic climate. So, yeah.
Just getting back to the inventory a little bit.
Yep.
Your inventory is replaced by Loblaws, and is it as the inventory control would designate? Okay, you need another 100 crates of this or that. How does that work with your meat department?
Mm-hmm. So meat department are, everything there is on IPFR as well. Now IPFR, I use these terms, and forgive me if I just relay them out without thinking. IPFR is a system that forecasts what we will sell using history. Meat department, we typically order those ourselves. So we'll order a side, and then of beef, and then we'll cut it up, into the different cuts that you see there. A lot of it's done in plants now.
Like
so
dry pack stuff.
Yes, I absolutely. So we'll get, if we're strip loin steaks are on, we'll get 3 in a case, 3 strips, and we'll just cut them into steaks ourselves.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the way we can get a custom cut.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you won't get that at No Frills. You won't get that at No Frills. You won't get the edamame. You won't get the international marinade because we're food lovers. That's what we do. I bought a smoker. Actually, I got it for my 15 years being with Loblaws. I got it for free, so they actually gave me something nice, but which was good. That's the only free thing I've ever got from them, by the way. So, and I started doing a lot of smoking. That was glad my mother's not here today. So I smoked a lot of meat. I used my Traeger, it's called. I don't know if a lot of you may have heard them. So, and I started playing with food a lot, doing all this. So now I've gotten actually quite decent at it. I will toot a horn there because my wife and my kids actually eat it. So, but we are food lovers, and we have. If there's not something you can get at our store, we could probably get it for you if we don't already have it. We have like a natural value department. Our health and beauty care department is second to none when it comes to the vitamins and the. I do an inventory and I walk down the aisles and I can't believe how much some of these things are, but people are looking for them. And there's some things that people aren't looking for that that's just the way it is. But if you're going to serve everybody, you got to kind of take some chances. But yeah.
I just have 2 quick questions.
Sure.
If you have enough room out there that if you had to expand the store, you could?
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm asking is, this is part of the second question, on my way to work on Woodbine, from what I understand, that huge building going down there is a Loblaws Food Distribution Center. That place is huge. It looks like they're building a prison.
Yeah.
It's at least 5 stories high, and you could fit the whole downtown here in it. And they're putting up retaining walls. It looks more like security, but retaining walls around it.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's seen that, I guess, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Loblaws. That's the new Loblaws Distribution Center, East Gwillimbury. Yeah.
And that will that help keep you more supplied?
Yep.
And you may expand also.
Yep.
Yeah.
So as far as the expansion, I'll answer it in 2 parts. As far as the expansion, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see expansion. I see renovation. Okay? Sorry. I see renovation. Okay? I see, and when it's time, I mean, listen, Beaverton is changing. And if you don't change with your business, then, as I say, you won't survive. People will find where they want to go. So I do see in the future, I don't know when, and this isn't saying anything is stolen, we will renovate the inside of the store. We will get new fixtures. Some of them are old and cost a lot of money. I don't see an expansion of walls per se, because we can do more within our walls. Some things after 14, 15 years, you get some dead space. So
you're going to reinvent. That's what they do at work. They bring in new cells, they have to bring in new tooling, and they do it in the same space because they can't afford to.
A friend of mine, some of you might know Mike Bullock. He owns the car station. His son, the car sales shop. His son Darcy owns the store in Huntsville, your independent grocer. So Darcy worked for me and etc. And I'm quite proud of him. Actually, a little digression. This Value Mart that I worked at. Most of you might know, Darcy, David Fretz. He used to be here in Beaverton as well. He owns a store in Salvo Beach. Jason Ayers used to work at this store. He's now a specialist. So, and myself, I own this store. So, and Tyler Stevens, he owns a store in Bracebridge. So it's quite it's hard to put it into context in a setting like this, but that was really, like, if you watch The Leaf, that was a great farm team. we put a lot of stars out of that store in Beaverton. So yeah, so I'm quite proud of them. But he's undergoing a renovation right now. He's putting about I would say anywhere between $5, $6, $7 million, and he's renovating the inside of his store with the help of Loblaw. They'll come and they'll do it.
But the key is the distribution center.
Yep, the distribution center 2025. They should be putting out frozen product first. They'll do everything in there. what the key with that place is, and they have one in Cornwall. This one is massive. This one is enormous. You're right.
Is it all going to be robotic?
It will be robotic. So it will be, there'll be people. I mean, we're not getting rid of people, but it'll all be robotic. And remember we talked about the sections, the planograms. I just talked about that. So what they'll do is they'll pick that warehouse, all the robots and the conveyors, and if you ever invite me back, we'll bring equipment this time, and I'll show you the video of it, because it'll pick the skids that come in. It'll pick all the cat food together. It'll pick all the cleaning together. It knows that my pasta section is beside my international section. It'll put it on the same skid. Now I have people overnight out there, you know, mixing, matching, taking carts and putting it everywhere. So that's how smart it will be. But as smart as it is, it'll frustrate the HE double socky sticks out of me, because it'll be wrong, and then they'll have to tweak it. But yeah.
Because where I am, they're not expanding the plant.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they're building a warehouse. It's not going to be robotic.
Okay.
But the warehouse to bring everything over, because we don't have room to keep everything.
Right.
And to put in, they're focusing on equipment, what needs to be done and made, and they're building so that all of it will be transferred. It's over behind No Frills.
Yeah.
And be brought
Harry
across
Walker
Davis
Parkway
Drive.
there. Okay.
And be brought there.
Mhm.
And everybody's trying to get their distribution so that they can use their spaces.
And that's no different than that warehouse. That'll be an epic place. That'll be really well. And the sleeker distribution is, the sleeker we are, the quicker we are to get stuff to the shelves, and for our customers. And it's one thing we work on every day. We have a great PI team that scans it. But you had a question?
Who painted those murals on the wall?
Yeah, I don't remember their names, but they are a group of Italian gentlemen that I remember I had to go out when we opened the store in 07. I had to take some pictures of key areas or areas of interest in the community and print them off, because I couldn't send them to anybody at that time. I had to print them off, and we got the arena, and we got the downtown, and we got all that in there. They were about 3 days doing that. It was quite the show. Quite the show. And in some stores, they are taking them out. They've done them. I will fight to the nail to have those kept, because I think they're fun to look at. I'm even up there putting barbecues around or putting something up there, and I'll notice something new every time I'm up there, and we get quite a few comments. So, you know, they in the interest of the community, those better stay. So, yeah.
Hi Russ, do you are you regulated? You mentioned that you can carry local products.
Yep.
Are you regulated by the percentage, the amount that you can bring in?
No, we don't like to get. We don't like to get into too many. They take a lot of managing, and if we have the right partner, then it works wonderfully. You'll notice, and I will do it. I have. You'll see when you shop the store those big bags of popcorn. Big bags of popcorn. Well, we started selling 1 or 2 a week, and I sell 30 a week right now of just the big ones. So, and that's a gentleman from, and I consider it local, from Keswick, RJ, and he's a pest. He's a pest, but he's a good pest. And we just and what I mean by the right partner is they come in and they'll service it. They'll call you. What do you need? They'll take old product out. Yeah. We have a copper pot nuts in there now, which is my front end manager's sister that does that. We have honey as well. We have a what is it? Like a meat stick, a program on the side of one of our things. We get Finley's corn every year from Ryan and Laura and their place. And we local is a hard definition, but if there's anybody that you want or you think has a great product that can move a little bit that I can help out with, I'm more than game that they're willing to work with me, because I will have to put it in our system, and I will have to remember to put it back in the system. It's just a little bit extra work, but nothing crazy. And then I can work with Loblaws just in our technology team to get it in. It's quite the story to try to get something into our system properly, because as you know, if you're on our shelves, this isn't a secret. If you're on our shelves, you pay Loblaws, a lot of money to get on there. But we do have, I would say, as close to carte blanche as you can get by if there's somebody that has a product that is food related, that is good and has a bit of a history, we can give it some space for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. Some stores I think go too far because then they can't manage it. And at the end of the day, you know, being completely transparent, we have to give the customers what they want en masse, and that's what our job is. But you know, I'm willing to work with anybody to build a little bit of help them out and help me out too, of course. And that's kind of yeah.
What's your views on the automatic teller system?
Yeah, I like them. And I tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because it's what the customers asked for. Okay, it's what the customer has asked for. You'll see them in all stores. Businesses don't just spend money on technology to pee off the customers, right? The customers have asked for convenience. They've asked for speed. They've asked for, I guess, for them to do it themselves. I was actually a manager at Dufferin and Steele's in Toronto. Actually, no, it was Queen's Quay. When I was down there, it was the first one that went in, you know, and it was the reaction was what you thought it was going to be until 40 or 50% of the customers started using them. And I tell you, in this scenario, I would love 3 more to go on the other side. I would love 3 more because I would like to make a center. Our customers in the summer demand that, not so much this time of year. I've added more hours to the schedules, and a lot of people don't understand that, but that's my go-to because I have to have somebody there all the time. Yeah. I don't, at certain times of the week, I actually close them after 7 o'clock because if I didn't close them after 7 o'clock, the company actually wants me to keep them open. Right, I close them because then I have a cashier. So we've kind of met halfway, and they don't take cashiers' jobs. They actually just add an element of convenience and service to the customer's shop. And by all means, there's a whole group, a diverse group that would say, there's people that say, well, I'm never going to use them. Right? Don't use them. Fine, absolutely. Come and see Sharon, or come and see Natalie or whoever. They're going to help you, or the 14-year-olds that I just hired to give them their first jobs. Absolutely, go see them. Then there's some people say, well, I'll use it once, and then next week I see them back at it. And I'm like, that's awesome because it's pretty fun actually. It's pretty cool to use, and I would say on the other side of the argument, it is a huge theft machine. It's a huge theft machine. I mean, I'm losing stuff out of there left, right, and center, so I'm hoping it's paying for itself in other ways. Wow. You know, people will take a pool, a $50 pool, and they'll put a $2 can of pasta sauce under it and scan the pasta sauce and, you know, pay their bill and walk away. That's why my girls have to be, the stuff I could tell you about theft is ridiculous. Yeah. I probably have $20,000 or $30,000 a year stolen. Like just of goods, maybe more. Maybe that's on the low end. Yeah. So it's not. I'm actually looking at putting a bollard in right now, just to kind of a visual deterrent. You saw my new gates at the store. You know, that had to happen. People were just walking out all the time.
I went to walk out, turn around, and forgot something.
Did somebody yelled at you? Did they? The
no,
machine.
The buzzer went off, and oh my God, I'm going to get arrested.
He gets a little temperamental sometimes. And notice I said he, not she. So yeah, it gets a little temperamental and likes to talk back at people sometimes. Sometimes when I put product too close, people are shopping and it yaks back. But this is a microcosm of our society. Loblaws this year, retail, very, very high theft this year. And you know what, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. Somebody wants to walk out with a bag of groceries. I can't touch them. I can't tackle them. I can't, I don't think I can do that anymore. But and the cops don't do anything, and that's unfortunate. So that's what we're working on. They'll be an hour. And then I have to citizens arrest them and wait, and then have continuity in the store, and it just becomes, it's a lot easier to have the deterrent. So our girls at the self-checkouts really enjoy, and they're good. I have one that's really good, Julia. If you're out there, don't think of stealing anything, she'll find you. Yeah, she's the Russian lady there, and she's a sweetheart. She was Russian, like, what this guy today want to scan nothing. You caught him? Yes, good. That's good. Thank you. But we don't chase people. We don't do it anymore. It's not worth it. So yes.
COVID with the distribution and supply network, is that why the new distribution centers are going up in that, because there was such a crisis?
No, I don't think so. I think it's progress. I think it's a matter of getting product to our stores from a Loblaws perspective, getting product to their stores as fast and as efficiently and as on time as possible. As you can appreciate, I have a night crew that starts at 10:30 at night, and that load has to be there before they get there, or else it's useless. Right.
The population growth.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
And perishable.
Yeah, and the perishables, they have to. The load has to be there for them at least to work. So if it's late, or another store messes up, I think when I talk about corporately, and I don't relate that to myself right now in my business, but corporately, yeah, they sure as heck would like to go more robotic, right? GM and the car people, it would be cheaper, less jobs, less people calling in sick. So if there ever was another pandemic or some emergency, they could just start their machines up and go, right? So I mean, I'm sure that crosses their mind, but I don't think that's why. This was probably in the works 10 years ago.
But that is a huge investment, because we work with robots where I am.
Yeah.
And trust me, I'm working with robots where parts haven't been ordered in for them and they're duct tape.
Yeah.
So things do fall apart.
I think it's a very interesting part of our business, and this is what I tell a lot of our young people that work for us. We're 80% part-time out there. So you do the math. It's Sunday. I don't want to do it. 80% part-time. I have 23 full-timers. I might even be a little bit more than that right now. And what I tell them, I said, you don't have to love this job. You have to do your best at it, because this is your in a ditch putting on tar on somebody's house, right? that taught you how to, it's going to teach you how to do
That's
things.
every job. You gotta try and do it right
Yeah.
and do the best you can.
And we have a great group of department managers. We're not perfect. We make a lot of mistakes. I mean, if I had a nickel for every mistake, I might not have to have the store, but we learn through those. And our kids, we consider ourselves, whether right or not, like second parents to them, and first parents in a lot of cases. They the work that these kids to go through just to get to work some of these days, it's not everybody has a great home and they just want to work. So we end up talking to them a lot. We have an employee that's transitioning right now, which is a learning thing for both of us. We sit down with them and talk about it openly, and we're proud of them. And so it's something I didn't think I'd have to deal with 10 or 15 years ago, but it's something that's opened our eyes. And I said, hey, as long as you close down the store and do your job, yeah, I'm cool. I'm
so
cool.
You do that.
Yeah.
Because I worked for a guy who did that for a young man who was getting in trouble, and he just took him aside and talked to him and said, look, I'm not your parents, I'm your employer, I'm not your best friend, but I do care about you, and you're heading for trouble.
Yep, we do that the best we can. We can't.
And that made all the difference in the world.
Yep, we try to make a difference, because that's, at the end of the day, the store will open, the store will close, people buy their potatoes, people buy their milk, they'll give us their money, we'll give them the product, but it takes a lot more than that, right? So, you had a question back there? Yeah.
Does Choice Properties own anything else out there?
Not anymore. Not anymore. No, they used to own the Subway building, but they don't own that anymore. They don't own that, it was sold.
So that new thing that might be built, that's not done.
Well, that's still going on out there, and again, that's not my area of expertise, but there's still development plans for that property. I mean, it's not a secret. You could tell by the bulletin board that's out there that I'm pretty sure it's not a Canadian Tire that everybody talks to me about every day, but I mean, it could be. I know there's a few people that have made commitments, and I think there's a few things that have to happen before that gets. But it's exciting. It's exciting because it's progress, and I know it's. May hurt the downtown, it may not hurt the downtown, but at the end of the day, businesses go where people go, right? And if you have a good quality business, and we have lots of them in this town, I love walking up and down the main street, and I'm proud of the main street, and I'm proud of what you said, like everything that's going to happen from here down to the harbor is very exciting. Not only, I hope it takes people away from the highway, but because I'm excited for my family and what my kids can see when they come home, right? So it's going to be a really, we're making history. We talked to the Historical Society, and I said, I didn't talk a lot about the history of the grocery stores in Beaverton, but where Ben's was the Mr. Grocer, and then again, you folks can tell me a lot more. I mean, I remember shopping with my mom at the old Stedman store, the small mart, or the town, what is uptown there now, right? Jack's Place. So. I mean, I remember shopping in there and getting on the belt and riding. I mean, I don't know, I got in trouble after too, but but the businesses evolve, and we're making history every day. With our store, with the town, with everywhere's making history every day, and that's why it's cool to talk about what's happening now. But Any more questions? I could do this all day. You know, yeah.
You said you had 11 different departments
Yep.
up there, Russ. What, doesn't matter what department from, but what product is one of your best sellers that makes you giggle?
Makes me giggle. Well, I brought for everybody today. I brought a bag of decadent cookies. Okay, for everybody today. Okay, so you know, if you can't eat them, you know, whatever,
Too bad.
you can give them to somebody that you. But that's my absolute favorite because it. But what's a product that sells that kind of makes me laugh?
You go, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's such a great seller.
Yeah, give me a second here. There's so many. We'll go through there. I sell a lot of sushi, which was wow. Plantains, which we have a good, healthy. I think organic produce, maybe. Organic produce, we have a very high penetration of organic produce. We're up around, I guess, 27, 28%, maybe a little higher in the summer of our customers buy organic. That surprises me. You know, we're in a very meat and potatoes type area, if you will. But again, a microcosm of change. We customers are asking for a lot more. Any product out of the international section in aisle 2, I took a whim on that one. We put 28 feet of international food in, and there is some ugly looking product there, in my own personal opinion. But it's moving, and the stuff you can do with food is fantastic. So I would say some, you know, I can't just pick one.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
that's fun.
President's Choice chocolate chip cookies coming in.
yeah. What's that, sorry?
Keep the chocolate chip
Yeah, I
cookies
mean,
coming in.
President's Choice, we're hitting the Insider's Report again at Christmas, and there's going to be all kinds of neat things. There's the plant-based stuff is a big demand, is in big demand right now. I think Loblaws is going back to a bit of their basics with this one. We've got some real fancy stuff coming out, so you know, to stop by the store, try it out, and so thank you for, if there's no other questions, I mean, I don't want to keep everybody past their time, but I think I covered everything on my list. Yeah, so thank you for having me today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't do a lot of speaking engagements unless it's the complaint department at the store, but I mastered that pretty good, but you didn't seem to have too many complaints today. So thank you on behalf of the store, their staff, and my family. I appreciate you having us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I have the ultimate pleasure of, first, before I get to a little bit of a presentation, everybody, I'm sure, has seen this gentleman in the store because one of his greatest attributes is that he talks to all the people. I got to know him very rapidly when we moved here 14 years ago. And I've seen him since talk to people that just come in the store and they're kind of wandering around. So he's a man of action on the job everywhere, and that's an attribute that is something to be proud of. Your background, I wish I had it known when I moved here, or even before I moved here. As a retired building contractor, I could have used your expertise around the foundation work.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm looking for a side hustle, so maybe we'll talk.
Well, no, the side hustle now is property.
Whatever.
I have to try and look after the property here, don't I?
Yeah. That's your side hustle.
Well, anyways, I'm very proud to represent our society and present you with a little token of our gratitude. And I did happen to notice you were looking at one of the products on our shelf over here. Well, you know, just looking inside, you may be in luck.
Oh, awesome. That's fantastic. I have some reading to do. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk about something that maybe not a lot of you knew about and help me understand. I mean, you guys could talk to me about history all day, and I'd love to do that. But, you know, I appreciate getting to vent out some information a little bit. So thank you very much.